Welcome to Women of a Certain Stage, the podcast redefining how we think about menopause. I'm your host, Lauren Turin, a passionate advocate for breaking the stigma and empowering individuals to navigate this transformational stage of life with confidence and clarity. Here, we're diving into a new era of menopause support, featuring expert advice, real-life stories, and actionable insights. Whether you're curious about building your personal menopause plan or you're looking to make an impact, you're in the right place. Let's embrace the change together. Sam, I am so excited about having the opportunity to speak with you today. And the reason I invited you, the way I met you was because you are one of my recent graduates from the Become a Menopause Coach program. So
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Lauren. It's lovely to chat.
Yeah, and I'm curious that, I really want to just invite you, first of all, just to share with people, who is Sam? Who is Sam? What's your background, or what would you like to share with people so that people get an idea of who you are?
Yeah, sure. Okay, gosh, right. I am I'm a coach and I run my own business, which I set up partly for coaching, but also leadership training and development as well. And I did that on the back of a rather long corporate career, which kind of had moved me into that field. But I got to the point where I thought, now I need to do something different, something more for me to sort of follow what I really love doing, which is why I set up on my own business. And I'd been doing that, I think, for about 2 years when I kind of was working with some clients and I had a bit of an idea, a bit of intuition, as coaching often provides us, that something else was going on for my executive clients. So yes, there were challenges that they were dealing with at work and things like that, but there was something else going on in the background. And my practice, as with a lot of people, if I was faced with somebody that I believe was having that their issues were more around mental health issues, of course I would signpost them to the relevant counsellor or therapist as appropriate. But this for me was more about maybe this female's what else the female was dealing with. And I thought, okay, well, if it is menopause, if I'm going to presume, I didn't feel that signposting them back to their GP was necessarily the right thing to do, because we know that the support that women can get from GPs is incredibly varied. And being probably a little bit more pragmatic than that, I thought, right, well, I need to do something to maybe fill that gap a little bit. So did a bit of research around what is out there in terms of menopause coaching training, and came across
funnily enough
women of a certain stage, so that's what I did. We had conversation.
We had that initial conversation,
because I was a little bit skeptical in terms of what value I would get from the course already, being a qualified coach and having my own business, and you helped me understand that.
Well, it's got to be a good fit, right? The same way as if you're coaching somebody, you can't just coach anybody, really. You need to have that level of chemistry, that level of know, like, and trust with your clients for the coaching relationship to be effective. And I think it's very similar with the menopause coach diploma, that it needs to feel like a really good fit, because we're going to be stuck together for not stuck together, but we're going to be working together for 18 weeks then, and then for the next year as well. I think it's really important that we've got that commonality where, it feels like it's going to be a good fit, but also that the content's the right content for what your objectives are going to be. So there's no point coming onto a coach training program if actually what you want to do is going to advise people and tell people what to do. There's making sure that people are getting what their expectation. I'm meeting their expectations. Otherwise, it's not going to be setting us up for success and a win-win. So anyway, we had that conversation.
Yeah, and I thought, absolutely, let's do this. And for the last 18 weeks have been really good, and the course has exceeded my expectations, and my expectations were quite high. Anyway,
I like that.
Well, it's a very, and I'm, there's going to be no plot spoilers or anything, but it is a really clever blend of knowledge, different experts, yes, there's some real supportive stuff around how to coach for people who've come to it without coaching, which is always interesting as an existing coach to see the experience that other people have when they start to think about coaching. And what I loved about my group of cohorts was we were such a beautiful mix of different countries, but also different professions, different backgrounds. So I was a bit in awe and a bit gobsmacked at quite a lot of the medical knowledge that we get exposed to for the first couple of weeks, and was a bit like, oh goodness. It's like when I try and support my daughter with some of her studying, I was like, oh my goodness, this is sort of back to things like that, but not too much, just enough that you needed to know. And seeing how some of the nurses or the other qualified nutritionists, how they were receiving the information was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because we then move further into it and we move into the coaching stuff, and it's a bit like, oh, okay, this is my territory. In how people who are new to coaching are experiencing, and especially that you've already alluded to it, Lauren, but that shift between it's the knowledge, but you're not there as an advisor, and I think that's always quite a challenge for most people, regardless of background. Who want to move into coaching. That's why I think your menopause plan is so impactful, because it gives the space that the woman that you're working with needs to be able to do what she needs to do. And that's really clever, but you've got to hold on to that. And that's why it's hard, isn't it, at the start when people are coming into coaching to go, yes, but can't we just tell them what they should
just tell them what to do?
Tell them to get on the exercise bike, or don't eat that. No, it's not about that. So that was I really enjoyed that experience, being alongside the other 32 people that were in our session or whatever. So it's lovely.
I think you had 35 in your cohort, which was, and the fact that you say 32 is interesting, right? Because most weeks we had about 32 people in the course on the call. And for a program, I was just talking to someone else about this earlier today, and actually she's an educator, and she's also a medic. And she said getting adult students to turn up live for learning is really hard. And the fact that we had over 30 people out of 35 people turning up every week for 18 weeks shows how well attended the program is. Yeah. And for me,
I was going to say, and cameras on for the vast majority as well. And I know there were very valid reasons when some people couldn't, myself included. But that to have,
I don't know, Sam. I mean, being in hospital bed, why would you not have your camera on? So for anyone listening, I have not been told not to mention this, so I'm going to mention it. That Sam even turned up whilst having had major surgery from her hospital bed, albeit with the camera off. But that's the loyalty and that's the dedication to your own learning, to your own progression, and to you wanting to use the materials from the program there and then to be able to use things going forward, right?
Yeah. And that's that. Please, I'm not like, I don't fit into the superhero category or some of the other things. But it was literally all I was able to do was lie horizontal, so my earlobes were open. So I was really comfortable because I was sitting and listening and absorbing, which is what it's about. And I thought nobody needed my camera on, so it wasn't a good angle. I'll put it that way. But I didn't want to miss it, because also it's the interaction that you get from delegate to delegate when we're in the different breakout rooms, and and there are. It's the same with every group, isn't there? There are people that you will also resonate with, and possibly we'll keep in touch, most likely. And we have another WhatsApp group, because we all need more WhatsApp groups in our lives, don't we? But it's really useful, isn't it? Because then you've got your own support network, and you've got a bit of a tribe going on, and we all need that. So that's good.
I think it's so important to have that community, and it would be very easy for me to create this as an online course that people could just take themselves through it in their own time. And one of the things I noticed when I looked around the market, that it's somewhere between 5 to 15% of people who sign up for self-paced programs that actually complete them. And I have 100% completion rate, 100% completion rate.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. If I see someone dropping off, or if I see someone's not turned up for a couple of weeks, I'll be straight on the phone to them, and I'll, try and understand what that is and what's going on. And usually it's just something, we all have life events. We go on holiday, there's family stuff, there's work commitments, there's stuff that happens. So you don't have to be there for all 18, but 12 of the 18 is definitely preferable, because I think that having that community aspect is so important going forward.
And that's what's so clever as well, though, Lauren, about your program. I know you'll know this, but it's because it's that physician heal thyself as you're going through the course. We talk about so much of working with a good coach is about accountability, and actually what we become as your cohorts is accountable to each other, because we are also doing part of our training through working together. So it's very clever, and therefore that's why it's so effective, isn't it? So it's great.
I hope so. I think that's the plan. So in terms of, you've just completed the program at the time of recording this, but you are already running a successful business. You're working as a coach. You've got years of experience under your belt. So how are you going to use this and blend this in with your existing skill sets and the clients you're working with? What impacts that's going to have?
So my current thinking is that I will introduce this as part of my offer. So in addition to the work that I do for leadership development and exec coaching, I will also offer menopause support now. At the moment, absolutely thinking about that on a one-to-one level, which is how I do the majority of my coaching anyway. But I will be looking to do group coaching, and I've got some plans for setting that up in a couple of weeks' time. And also I will be really, in the same way that I can talk to businesses about the importance of why I think introducing coaching as a concept to leadership is really important. I'm going to be talking to workplaces about the importance of being menopause aware, and what their leaders will then need to do to be able to do it competently, because it's not easy. Right. And this is the bit for me. It's being able to, it's not just one-to-one support for the woman who is most impacted by it, but it's everybody else around. Yeah. It's not done in isolation. No. And so, but it is hard, because how does a manager approach it if they've spotted some stuff that they think might be menopausal symptoms before the individual's worked it out themselves? There's all this,
which is really common, right? It's very, very common for someone else to notice that you're changing. Yeah, they may not know what it is, but it's very, very, very common. It could even be 2 or 3 years before many people realize they're in perimenopause.
Yeah, well, especially when we think about some of the symptoms around brain fog or that loss of confidence. You can see, so that's what led me to this in the first place, because that's what I was hearing from the female execs that I was working towards. And you do the why? Give me an experience of where all this stuff, and it wasn't, the answers weren't there, so therefore it's something else.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting. We were talking about this just before we started recording. So when we look at the corporate world, we know that many organizations now, so if we go back to 2014 when I first started doing this work, and there was less than 5% of organizations that had a menopause policy or menopause guidance documents, let alone actually delivering any training or making any meaningful change to their culture or their systems or processes. Now we know it's nearer the kind of 30-ish%, roughly. There's different people have done different calculations on how many organizations. I don't think it's possible to get an exact, but somewhere between 30 and 35% of organizations are doing something to do with menopause now. And that's great. Some people are going after certifications, accreditations. Some people are just delivering lunch and learn. Some people are going the whole gamut and doing everything. And the reality is, what I've seen, and which is why I was so excited about you coming on the program, is that many organizations will do a lunch and learn. They might realize, there's a bit more value to this. It could save us some money down the line. It might help us attract more people into the organization. It might actually stop people from leaving. And if we get this right, what would that do to our strategic goals? So, if we're looking at 25, 26 or further down the line, depending when you're listening to this. So as we know that, different organizations will approach menopause in different ways, and the more companies get into this, the more senior people start looking at it, they start to realize that it can really help them achieve their strategic goals. So whether it's more women leadership positions, whether it's hitting their diversity inclusion or their wellbeing goals, it's a really powerful tool to move people in that direction. And it's a really simple business case as well, because all we need to do is lose one key member of staff or any members of staff, and all of a sudden you've got a loss of knowledge, skills, experience walking out the door. And definitely that was my situation. And we don't know what the knock-on consequences are going to be to the stress and the workload your colleagues got to pick up, the colleagues that might even follow you when you leave and decide to make the same decision or come and work with you in your new place, whatever it ends up being. So when you do that training, or when an organization has a training and they have the policies and the guidance, the missing piece is definitely supporting the individuals going through. And that's why I was really passionate about developing the menopause coach offer, or the menopause champion, the menopause mentor, because we need to have more people in organizations who can understand that wider piece around what it means to change the culture, the built environment, everything to do with the employee journey, to support people going through all life changes and stages, not just menopause. So I love the fact that you're going to be blending all of that together, because you definitely, you've got it set up there to do already. And adding group coaching in, is group coaching something you've done in the past?
No.
Or is this new? This is new.
And again, it's that bit, isn't it? We've got to, I feel I want to keep challenging myself as well. So it's not just about doing what works. And I could see, again, there's the opportunity, isn't there, for the people that potentially experience the coaching as a group, that they've then got their own support network that can continue beyond that. So it, and I guess this is something that I pick up from you. You do this. Yes, it is your business. It's how you generate an income. But it's so much more than that for you, Lauren. And that's what has become really clear. And there is that part about being able to play things forward. And if I work with a group of 6 women who actually, and everybody will take out of the plan different things that will support them in whatever they need to at that moment in time, but they'll have done that together. And if that then means that there will continue to be a support, like working with a big organisation, if they're able to do that within that group, that's a group that can self-facilitate and support themselves moving onwards. So in terms of investment, oh my God, it's
huge. It's huge. And I've done it a couple of different ways. So I've done it where we've had a group of between 6 and 12 people within an organisation. So let's say a large financial services institution, and they've gone out to their population. They said who's struggling or who would like to find a better way to successfully navigate menopause. They get the applicants. I then interview the applicants to find out who's coachable and who's ready to actually take that responsibility on board, because an awful lot of people want someone else to fix for them, and they want to blame. And actually someone who's still at that place has got some work to do before they become coachable and before they're ready to move forward. So I select, and we have another program for them. So I would then select the people that are going to be in the program. And what we find is we'll have people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. We'll have people who are in medical menopause and surgical menopause. We'll have people who are going through a natural menopause transition. We'll also have people not just in different age ranges, but we'll then have people who are in different grades and different departments within the organization who don't even know the other person exists. So all of a sudden you've got this kind of mentor buddy type relationship coming up. And as people are going through the program, we get people to buddy with one another. So we have them team up. So if they're having a moment at work, they can just pick up the phone or send a Teams message or whatever, they're using. There are other systems available. They can just send someone a message and have a moment where they're going, my boss did this, my boss did that. Get out of their system. The other person listens to them. They don't even have to agree or disagree. They just have to listen. It gets out their system. And that's a whole rest of the day or the rest of the afternoon where that person's gone, dealt, dusted, move on. Yeah. Whereas otherwise they're going to be in the toilets having a cry. They might have snapped someone's head off. They might have even gone off sick. There are so many other ways that people will, or they might have had an afternoon where they were not productive because they were in this anxious state that they were just self-feeding the anxiety because of what had happened or how they perceived what had happened. So the actual menopause plan is really powerful, but I think it's the relationships, like you said, that come out of that are just, I don't think we can really quantify that. And if you ever find a way, please let me know.
But it sounds, the way you were describing that then just reminds me that there are a lot of businesses who work quite hard to set up mentorships in quite a artificial way. Not an artificial, that's not fair, but quite a structured way. Actually, what the menopause plan can do is actually bring that in quite organically, and lots of learns on the back of it.
And the other thing, if you're working across different organizations, you might find that there might not be enough people that are ready to self-select to do a program like this within one organization. So you could do a program that is across 2 or 3 different organizations, and they could be from different industries. And then you've got that networking aspect and growth and learning as well. Yeah, so there's lots of different ways that, you know, the menopause plan can play out. So I can't wait to hear your stories, and maybe we'll even have you back next year and hear about how you've been using it.
Wow, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Now talk about accountability for that. 12 months. Like, oh my goodness.
I don't stop, do I? I don't stop. I'm just like,
that's what I mean, and that's why it's more than just a course, isn't it, Lauren? This is, you know, and I can feel how important you think this work is. And having started, I'm sort of 3/4 of the way through with practice clients, because we practice on real people, don't we, Lauren? Real people that we don't know. So, and already the opportunity that the 2 ladies that I'm working with have taken out of the conversations we've been having is super. It's brilliant. One on a call today, session 4. There are 7. Energy levels 10 times greater than she started.
You're only halfway through the menopause plan.
I know, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh! And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. But it's other things as well, Lauren. And I'm part of a networking group of very, very mixed industries. We meet weekly, very early in the morning. The majority.
I know which one it is.
You know, and I'm sure, yeah. And it's not for everybody. Some people love it, some people hate it. But do you know what? I found it really useful as a new business owner. Again, it's it's accountability, it's support, isn't it? It's a network. But the majority of my group are male. The majority are plus 40. So when I started to introduce the idea of menopause coach, for me that was quite a big, how do I do this? How do I make this happen? What do I need to help them understand? And I did a little 60-second pitch about it. And the response I got was somebody said, "Oh my God, Sam, if people like you were around 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been divorced." And I just thought, oh my goodness. You know, so again, sometimes we can look at this from a very female orientated lens, but it's the impact it has on other people as well.
And I know you're really passionate about getting men into the conversation, aren't you? That's something that is a big deal for you.
Yeah, because it affects us all. It's not one person's thing to burden. It shouldn't be seen as a burden. It's just a natural stage that we can also work and support one another to get through. It takes a bit more knowledge, a bit more understanding. But you know, for this gentleman to say, I wouldn't have got divorced, and other people, again, it's fascinating. Not everyone was vocal in the live session. But I had a few messages that came.
I bet you did.
Were positive, you know, really positive. So I do. I think with a lot of things, I think allyship would just make the world a better place, which is kind of what we need to be looking at the moment.
Could you imagine actually coaching the men on the menopause plan, but not coaching them through the menopause plan necessarily directly, but coaching them on how to use the concepts from it to support their family? Not just support their partner, but support their family to create better habits, which in turn would support the person going through menopause, and the win that we could potentially have from that. I mean, divorce costs people emotionally. It costs them physically. It costs them financially. Yeah. And for the investment of going through the menopause plan, it could save a ton of money for so many people.
Absolutely, and it doesn't even stop there. One of the things through the knowledge that I've been able to take from the course has been just a much better understanding of the impact on hormones. So one of the other things that I was able to do almost immediately was to better support some of my male clients with managing their stress. Yeah, and I haven't explained to them yet that I've taken knowledge from a menopause plan, but. So it's helping in so many different things. So it's made me a better coach for everything that I coach, and even if it's not specifically menopause, and if it's not even for women. So no, I think, and it's like part of. Sometimes I will talk about menopause loosely as it's just another adolescence. So in the same way, I always think of Kevin the teenager,
Yeah.
So, it was okay when you were a lovely 12-year-old and then suddenly teenage years descended and the hormones came. Everybody accepts it's just teenagers being teenagers. But for some reason, we're supposed to, if you're later then in your late 30s, 40s, you're supposed to be able to understand and work your way through all of that when the reverse happens and you're coming out of your fertile years. So
and you're the one supporting the people going through the other part as well, and dealing with all the life's juggling acts. So you're kind of doing this whole juggling act at the same time as trying to manage something you don't know is happening until it's happening.
And then wonder why you can't, and then start to doubt your own sanity because you can't manage what you did before. So even if I say to people, start thinking about it like it's adolescence again, you're just coming out the other side.
What would you say to somebody that said to me, Lauren, I'd love to do it, but I don't need to do the coaching component of it because they're already a coach?
That's a really good question. It's a good refresher. So, and I think I think personal development needs to continue to be part of your practice anyway. So it works from that perspective. But I think it gives you such a good opportunity to see how the material is impacting other people, to see what learns they're taking away from it. So, and I think also it just shows when you're, I know we talked about group coaching, but when you're coaching one-to-one, you have one person's response to your questions. Okay. So you kind of go, okay, fine. When you're working in about coaching in a group like that, because you're all coaching each other, you see played out in front of you the huge variation there is on how people take the question, what the answer is, what their suggestion is, what they're looking to achieve. So it's played out a bit like a kaleidoscope in front of you. And otherwise, I think you can become quite narrow as a coach if you just do the same thing over and over again. So for me, it's just that opportunity to open up. Open up things.
And if someone, so whether someone's a coach or not, if someone was sitting on the fence because we've got a cohort coming up at the time of recording this, and if they were sitting on the fence thinking, should I do it? Should I not do it? But they really want to make a difference in supporting people going through menopause, what would you say to someone sitting on the fence?
I think the first thing is make sure that they take the opportunity to have a conversation with you, because you offer that, you make yourself very available to do that. So, so I found that really useful. And I think they'd need to be really honest about what's stopping them, what's getting in the way of them saying, if this is a program designed around helping, supporting other people, it's proven because you've run it a few times. There's people like me that will go, hey, do it because it's really good. So what's stopping you? Yeah. What is it that's absolutely getting in the way?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I don't do any follow-up. Once I've had that sales call, I don't do any follow-up. I send an email to confirm what we've talked about, and then I leave it. And my business coach always criticised me and said, well, you should be following up within 24 hours because that's a decision-making time zone. And then you need to follow up at this frequency, and these are the incentives you need to put in place and all of this stuff. And I'm like, no, because actually someone has to be ready, and I want people to self-select. I don't want them to have buyer's remorse. I don't want them to part with the money, make the time commitment, get into week 3, 4, 5, because halfway through a program, most people of any program, somewhere around about, if it's a 12-week program, somewhere around about weeks 5 to 7, people start to self-sabotage. And when you're doing an 18-week program, you've got longer for someone to self-sabotage and either stop trusting themselves that it's going to work or stop trusting the people that are delivering it that's going to work. And I think that when you start having one of those things kick in, you need to be able to look in the mirror and go, I chose to do this. This is why I chose to do it. These are the reasons why. This is what I want to get out of it. So we've got a really powerful why of doing something. And then that self-accountability becomes really important, because no one can tell you, you're here because you've self-selected. And I maybe have a bit of a journey to go on, a bit of learning to do myself about, that kind of attracting people to come and work and do the program as well. But I do think that I speak to so many people that the ones that are ready, the people that are really intentional about doing the program, join. Yeah. And, it feels like a really good symbiotic relationship. So it'll be interesting to see if I change that in any way going forward. I don't think I will, but you never know. It'll be interesting. Do you think having the opportunity for us to have a conversation before you jump on it, given that I designed it, makes a difference as opposed to just one of my team members having a conversation with you?
I think so, because that's where that's where I started to really understand your mission. That's where I started to, and that for me elevates it from just being a program to being your program, which business coach might tell you that's a bit of an issue.
Yes, I know. I am currently working with someone on that very thing. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because my option would be to kind of, move some of the responsibilities further down the line. But then as a business owner, we also have the choice of which aspects of our business do we want to lead on and hold on to. And I just personally think that that's a really important aspect of it. So, and even after running this for several years now, I do think that it's something that I would, I definitely think that's something I want to carry on doing. Certainly, I don't know who's listening to this or when you're going to be listening to it and if my processes will have changed by then, but I can't see it. I can't see it. So it'll be interesting to see. So what else would you like to share with people today about you, about your plans, where you want to go, how you want to drive this work forward?
Well, I think I'm probably being a little bit more fluid with how this is going to evolve, because when I started my business, I had lots of very detailed plans, because we like a plan. I do have a little bit of listitis as well, so if I can cross but actually, what being open to experiencing the menopause plan as well as being working to be able to deliver it, why do we close things off? So I've got my next couple of steps worked out, and that's enough for now. And I'm going to see how it evolves and how things take. I want to, on my business card, because I had to get one of those. So, the networking meeting I do, and I was like, oh God. And it's everything's about supporting people to be their best. So it's whatever that feels like at that time. Yes, I would like to make sure I can have sufficient clients to work with. I'm not going to deny that. It's kind of important for a successful business and all that. But this is more than that. It's just about being able to do good work. So I'm going to see where it evolves over the next 12, 18 months and take it from there.
And I think, you're someone who's got a business, adding this on as an additional modality and additional offer to your services. And I think it's really interesting because what I've noticed is that roughly a third of people are on the program because their companies sponsored them to be here to go back and support colleagues. A third have their own business and want to add, like you have, add this as an additional service or want some more information to be able to support people that are going through this. And then you've got a third of people who are potentially going out to do this as a retirement project or because they want to leave corporate and have something different to do. And I think what you said really resonated with me, because if someone had told me 11 years ago that I would be training people to do what I do, I would have laughed, because I never saw myself as a trainer or someone who could structure a program or do any of these things. But I think as business owners, it is fluid. We can have as many plans as we want. And I do advocate a good plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Anyway, whether you believe that or not, I don't know. But I think that, plans are a bit like rules. They're made to be broken. And we as entrepreneurs as well, I think we often will have a new idea and it's kind of like, oh, there's another way, or an opportunity comes up and something presents itself. And so we go down that path as well. And it's both a blessing and a curse, because on one hand, it keeps us stimulated and invigorated to go and do new things and to make a difference. On the other hand, it can be become quite overwhelming and stop us from moving forward because we can have too many ideas. So if you fall into that category, I always say to people, keep a book or keep a listitis, keep a list of everything that you come up with. And then, once a quarter, have a look at that list and think about what is the new thing you want to implement. But sometimes opportunities just present themselves naturally, don't they? And I think, with your gentleman saying, if I met someone like you 5 years ago, I might not have got divorced. That's a really common thing to hear from people. And, if only we could start to think about how we can get to the people who would potentially end up in that situation before they get in that situation, so that we can share that knowledge. But look, I'm really conscious that we've been chatting for a while and I would love to chat to you further. So definitely would love to see you again next year and see what's unfolded and how that's all come together. Is there anything I haven't asked you, Sam, that you would like to share today?
No, I don't think so, Lauren. It's about like a good wide-ranging, honest, open conversation. So I don't think there's anything else at all.
Amazing. Well, look, thank you so much for your time today. I'm looking forward to chatting to you again soon. I'll be seeing you in the grad sessions. And for now, I'll just say thank you.
Brilliant. Lovely. Thanks ever so much, Lauren.
Thank you for joining me on Women of a Certain Stage. I hope today's episode inspired you to think differently about menopause and the incredible opportunities this stage of life brings. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with 3 friends who need to hear this message. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us reach even more people. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Lauren Turin or visit our website at womenofacertainstage.com to learn more about menopause coaching, inspiring events, and corporate training. Until next time, let's continue making a difference, one conversation at a time.